Today we're going to be interviewing a guy who went from, making okay money in sales to making like 20K plus a month in commissions, completely remote. We're going to hear about his story, how he got into sales, how he got to where he is now. And guys, if you're new to us, we're 7th level. We are a sales training company. We help sales professionals increase the amount of deals they close, increase their commissions. And we also help companies improve their sales process so they can maximize the amount of deals they close. But enough about us. Joel, I would love to know how you got into sales to begin with.
Sure. It's a bit of a long story. I'll try and say it as short as possible. I've always been in sales, right? Since the day I first started work, I was in sales, but I was in hospitality, right? So I was working in beach clubs, I was working in nightclubs, and at the end of the day, I was on commission with basically the amount of bottles of champagne I could sell, right? So that's how I was in sales. It's like, right, how can I sell as many bottles of champagne or as many bottles of alcohol to a table to make some money? So that's how I kind of started, but it was a product pusher, pushing the product. I was really just trying to put the focus on like the outcome rather than what they actually wanted, right? So that's right at the beginning, and then gradually, what I did 6 years ago, I decided to pour all my savings, all my money into building my own restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Which was interesting. I lived in Dubai for 5 years, running bars, clubs, and restaurants. After that, went to London and thought, hey, let's open a chain of vegan restaurants. Right? Oh, okay. So it was an experience. It was good, and it got to a point where I lost absolutely everything. Lost the business during the pandemic. And then I started thinking to myself, like, I'm always working when everyone else is off. Like, hospitality was such a hard game. Like, I missed birthdays, weddings, special occasions. And it got to a point where I turned around and I was 30. I'm like, I've missed so many special occasions. Like, I don't want to live this the rest of my life. Like, I want to be able to attend things and have my own times and, go where I want, when I want. Yeah. So I lost my job and I was online trying to figure out what to do online. And funnily enough, I came across an ad. It was a guy based in Bali, sipping a coconut, in a swimming pool, saying, hey, like, have you ever thought about location freedom, time freedom? Click on my ad. Yeah, of course I have. So I was like, yeah, sweet. What's this about? So I went through the ad, and it was to become a marketing agent. So I thought, okay, cool. Like, I want to be in Bali, sipping a coconut. It looks pretty cool. Went through the training, started a marketing agency, and I absolutely sucked at it. Like, it was a terrible, terrible 6 months.
So when you say paint us a picture of what happened here for that 6 months.
So I had no idea how to get clients. I had no idea how to speak on the phone. I was scared to pick up a phone and cold call people. I was scared to even introduce myself. And then when I was on the phone, it was basically telling them what they wanted, what I thought they wanted to hear. It was like, oh, this is what we do. This is how we can help you. Yeah. And it was just an absolute train wreck from day one. And then I thought to myself, like, I want to go to Bali and I want to be sipping on that coconut. Like, how can I improve my sales? So then I came across Jeremy, right? Found one of his Facebook groups, and I was in the Facebook group for a good 4 months, trying to learn, trying to like get some pieces and pull a script together. And I was thinking, this is really good, but I don't actually understand what I'm doing. Like, it sounds good, but how do I put it all into practice?
Yep.
And that was the thing, was like, right, how much free content can I actually carry on getting? But it really got to a point where it's like, right, I don't know what to do with all this. Like, how do I implement it? What's the structure?
Right.
You know, how can I actually benefit? And yeah, long story short, I bought into Jeremy's program, into NEPQ.
3.0, was it?
3.0.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And I thought to myself, why not have my marketing agency? Let me try and find a closing role and just get some practice, right? I thought, how can I kind of burn someone else's leads and then kind of learn from that and kind of cross it over to my business? And that's when I actually got my first closing role on a dating program.
So backtrack here, because I know a lot of some people in here are wondering how to get their first closing role or better closing role. So you buy NEPQ 3.0, you go through it. How did you land your first solid closing gig? And maybe tell us the story of some other ones that maybe you got that didn't work out. How did that end up?
Well, actually, I did reach, so two months before actually signing up, I reached out to probably 20 to 30 different influencers saying, hey, I'm looking for a closing role. Can you help me? A few of them got back saying, yeah, just send me a video, introduce yourself, let me know what kind of training program that you've done. And I'm like, training program? I've been to the University of Life. Like, does that count? So, and I didn't get any roles whatsoever. Like literally none. So it wasn't until I actually signed up, went through the program, started sending out load of videos to influencers, agencies, joining Facebook groups. And then when I had to send over my video introducing myself, it's funny because as soon as I mentioned like, yeah, NEPQ, they're like, sweet, let's give you an interview. And it was awesome. Honestly, it was insane. It's absolutely insane.
You had street cred by learning the right skills, getting into the right ecosystem. Sounds like.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah. So you started 3.0. You started telling people that you were training. Hopefully, you were actually training pretty hard and not just telling people that you bought a program. What were you doing to train?
What sorry?
What were you doing to train and learn?
So I think with 3.0, what really, really helped me the most, well, I'd say three main things. Once I finally had my script, is actually understanding the reason why we're asking certain questions.
Yeah.
Right? Because everyone can read a script, but it's like, do you actually understand why you have a script? Do you actually understand why it's structured in that way? What are you trying to get out of it? Right. And I had no bloody idea, I just thought, okay, you have a script, just go through it. So that was the first thing, like understanding the reasons why we were asking certain questions. And then the objection handling training was unbelievable. But something that really, really changed the way I was selling was tonality.
How so?
Because you can say the same thing in so many different ways, and people can take the same message in so many different ways as well. So it wasn't until I truly understood tonality, pronunciations, pauses, that's when things really started to change.
What did you notice when you started implementing pausing, tonality, asking questions at the right time? What did you notice with your prospects?
Well, I think the first thing in it, and I remember laughing because I was like, this actually works. At one point when I kind of started pausing, I saw a lot of my prospects like lean in a bit more, like were really kind of eager to know what I was about to say, and kind of a bit more engaged. The pauses also gave them time to actually think about what you asked them. And then they had time to think about what they wanted to reply, right? Because without those pauses, sometimes they don't have time to think about what you're saying.
Yeah, it triggers in their mind that what you're about to say is important, so they listen. But it's like an instinctive thing that we do. So it's a human behavior thing. When you start pausing, the other person slows down. The benefit of that is that they're being more thoughtful when they answer you. So that's fantastic. So, okay. So now you're messaging influencers, you're dropping the street cred, NEPQ 3.0. You're getting some interviews. So what happened? Like first gig, home run, or did you have some duds?
Our first gig was a nightmare.
Okay. Let's hear
So first gig, I joined and they didn't let me use my NEPQ script.
Why?
They said, because they said, you need to use our script. Like our script has been working. Don't change it. Okay. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why should I follow their script when, I'm using NEPQ. I'm training to learn NEPQ. And it was quite funny because I didn't follow their script. I started using NEPQ and I was actually getting better sales than the other guys. But it was a train wreck because I how do I say this in a positive way? I was using NEPQ, but I still didn't understand what I was doing. So like when I was listening back to my calls, I'm like, this is interesting. Like it's interesting because I'm learning so much more when I'm listening to my own calls that I felt like everything that I was doing was terrible, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I was learning so much from listening back to my own calls and then kind of comparing it to what I was learning, and then role playing with people in NEPQ. And I was like, wow, this is actually really bad. Like I've got so much more to grow.
Right. Okay. So you had that first gig that was kind of a nightmare. Did you make a little money there? Like how much were you making there?
That's what I mean by a record. I was only making $3,000.
Okay. So you're making $3,000. So you're making some money. And then how did you get the job that you're in now?
Messaging influencers.
So you did the same thing. You did the same thing.
The same thing. And
you just happened to get a better gig. And so so what was it like starting at this new gig?
So the way it started is there was 20 candidates that had to go through a boot camp.
Oh wow.
It was a week boot camp, and then there was me and one other guy who got fast tracked to start straight away. So we didn't actually have to complete boot camp. The reason why is because what they said to us is we were a bit more advanced than everyone else that are in there because we had certain training. Mm-hmm. So they just wanted to put us on call straight away to see what we were pretty much made of. Okay.
And so where did you end up? Like how, and by the way, at this gig, like what are you making now?
Over 20K a month.
Damn. So that's like 250, that's $250,000 a year at least. So, and how long did it take you to get up to that level at that job?
6 months.
6 months. Okay. And so
5 months. 5 months.
Not too shabby. I mean, how long do doctors have to spend studying to get to 20K a month? Like 10, 12, 15 years, right? 6 months.
It's mad.
So what has going from 3K a month, struggling sales pro, all the way up to where you are now, like 20 plus K months, like what has that allowed you to do?
So first of all, it's allowed me to buy things that I've always wanted.
Like what?
So, I mean, I don't want to be flashy here. I've always wanted to buy a Rolex. So I managed to buy my first Rolex.
Which one?
The Batman.
Oh yeah, Batman. It's a beauty. You wearing it now?
Yeah. No, I'm not actually.
Yes.
I'm not actually. But then also being able to like pay things for my parents and, send them away on holiday. But more than that, remember before I told you about, I saw an ad, some guy sipping a coconut, in Bali. Well, 5 months ago, I actually decided to move to Bali, right? And I've been in Bali for the last 5 months. So I finally got there where
I had to pick up and move because you felt like it.
Living the life, man. Like, again, always like in hospitality, I was working so many hours and I'm thinking like, I'm not living. Like I'm actually I'm working so hard. Like, how can I get out of this? And just being able to kind of learn the right skills and be in a position where, without sounding too cliche, like living the life I've always wanted to live,
Yeah. And that's awesome. So like, and some people may not know this or some of you do, but like, what has the sales lifestyle done for you in terms of like how you spend your time, like compared to how you used to spend your time?
Someone asked me this the other day, and they're like, how can you live your life with only working 6 hours a day? I'm like, you know, I've got to a point now where I've got my calendar open 6 hours a day, you know, and that's just taking calls. And then I do 2 to 3 hours a day of like personal development, learning nonstop. And then I've got all day to do whatever I want. So it's a pretty cool gig.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, the sales lifestyle, guys, when you learn the right skills, sales can be easy. You'd be shocked at how easy getting a close is, making 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, even 4,000 plus a sale. You'd be shocked how easy it is if you learn the right skills. So, I mean, I loved hearing about your story, but like, what is your like number 1 or 2 pieces of advice to someone who's sitting in here, maybe making 5K a month or like 10K, and they want to get to the next level, or maybe they're not even in sales yet? Like, what would you suggest to those people who want to be where you are today?
That's a very good question. And I think a lot of us kind of procrastinate quite a lot. Like we want to have a better life, and we want to be able to do things, but we don't actually do anything about it. And one of the guys who actually sold me into 3.0, he said something to me that really made a lot of sense. It was like, you know, with what you're doing at the moment and the way you're selling, like how many deals do you feel like you're losing per week at the moment? So I said, well, probably about 4. He said, well, if you say 4, it's probably 8 that you lose in a week. He said, okay. He said, let's call it 4. How much is each deal worth to you? I said, $1,000. He said, so you're losing $4,000 a week by not having the right skills. And that just blew my mind. I was like, if I would have, you know, got the right skills years ago, I don't know where I'd be right now. I'd be, you know, I'd have a huge empire somewhere. But I think a lot of us kind of procrastinate and, you know, want to, and this is another thing, going a bit personal. I had a big divorce. I lost my restaurants, massively in debt. And I had to ask my mum for money to jump into 3.0. So although I was making like peanuts, it wasn't enough to get me out of debt. So by earning what I was earning at that point, it would have taken me close to 9-10 months to get out of debt. I got out of debt in 2 months.
My God.
After jumping in.
Guys, that's a huge lesson here. If you're not where you want to be, and I've done the same thing, and it's how I got to where I am today. Like, if you, like, as Jeremy would say, your biggest expense in life, do you know what that is, Joel?
Is not investing in yourself.
Well, yes, but more specifically, it's your lack of knowledge, right? That's your biggest expense. It's not training. It's not mortgage. It's not insurance. It's your lack of knowledge. So Joel realized that, capitalized that, found the funding for the training to fill the knowledge gap. And so he stopped missing out on 4K a week. And good thing he did, because he now is wearing a rollie, living in Bali, living the sales dream. So I commend you, brother. That's amazing. Well, guys, I really enjoyed this interview with you, Joel. If you guys were touched by Joel's story, if you want to make a change in your sales career, feel free to message me directly. I love that piece about how you got resourceful, had to find funding. Even for me, guys, I went into Inner Circle. I was, quick side note, I was building a house. My wife was having a baby. I had hospital bills out the ass. But I was like, you know what? I got a couple luxury watches I can sell. Bang, bang, bang. Had a little bit of credit, paid in full. I got resourceful, right? And I had things going on. I had reasons to say no. I had reasons to procrastinate. But I was like, no. What is the ideal version of myself? What would he do? Same question Joel seemed to ask himself. And that was to find the funding, to get the training, to stop missing out on money. So anyway, Joel, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I enjoyed this. I hope everyone else watching here enjoyed this. And see you on the next interview, guys. Have a good one.
Been fun.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed these, here's another you can watch right over here, Join our free Sales Revolution group. Click the link below, join us, and we're gonna help you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon.